Hello, you're listening to Cheat Sheet. I'm Sophy Ridge.
And I'm Wilfred Frost. It's Monday the 26th of January, and this is what's happening.
Andy Burnham has been blocked from returning to Parliament, the Mayor of Greater Manchester. Is this a sign of strength for Keir Starmer or weakness?
Tensions in Minneapolis continue to grow after another fatal shooting by immigration officers, this time of Alex Pretti on Saturday. We'll bring you the latest.
And a new British FBI is being created. We're going to explain all.
So, Sophie, over the weekend, lots of developments in British politics, specifically within the Labour Party, that the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party has blocked Andy Burnham, of course, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, from standing in a suddenly vacant seat to become an MP. Talk us through it.
Yeah, this is a massive story. Andy Burnham, King of the North, one of the main challenges to Keir Starmer's leadership. But he can't do it unless he returns to Parliament, right? He's stuck out in Greater Manchester. He can't do it as the mayor. He's got to be an MP. This is his big move. The seat came up. He's all ready to go. And then suddenly he's blocked. What is going on? Well, it's basically Keir Starmer overruling this. We're talking about the National Executive Committee. This is the kind of levers of power in the Labour Party. But really, it's full of Keir Starmer's allies. Keir Starmer himself is on it. He voted. It's pretty clear that this is a move by Keir Starmer and those around him to stop Andy Burnham returning to Parliament. Now, they're all saying this is because they don't want this distracting leadership contest in Greater Manchester. Reform might win. It's going to cost £1.5 million. But look, we all know the reason behind this. If Andy Burnham returned to Parliament, that would start the biggest speculation about Keir Starmer's leadership and potentially a challenge after the May elections as well. That's what's really going on.
I thought that on Trevor's show yesterday, Lionel Barber said it exactly right. A strong leader would have immediately said, I welcome bringing Andy Burnham into the fold. We want our strongest players on the pitch. I hope he runs, and if he does, I'll put him in the cabinet. Obviously, that's not what we got. Quite the opposite, which I think many people are pointing to as incredibly revealing about the sort of sense of personal strength the Prime Minister is currently feeling. The other point I'd just dwell on is, we've said this before, the person who wields the sword rarely takes the crown. I wonder if the happiest people this morning are Wes Streeting, Angela Rayner and whoever else has leadership ambitions, because this is not a good look for the Prime Minister, but it's also not good for the ambitious Mayor of Manchester. If the May elections go terribly, that's the moment when people will move. Andy Burnham can't be that person.
Yeah, there's going to be two people who are happy this morning. As you say, Wes Streeting, one of them. I think it really boosts his leadership chances. And I think the other one is actually Reform, who I would say has now got a decent chance of actually taking Gorton and Denton. I think if they're up against Andy Burnham, it would be a tall order. That's what Nigel Farage has been putting around. But now, game on.
And the Greens, probably. I mean, imagine if Labour come third in that seat, which is totally possible. By the way, the polling does show how tight it's going to be, whatever the case. All the more reason for Keir Starmer to say, I want Andy Burnham as the candidate. You know, the worst outcome, as you were alluding to, block him and then lose the seat.
So we've had more protests in Minneapolis, and this is all about the immigration crackdown, the ICE agents, if you like, in America, because someone else has died. 37-year-old nurse Alex Pretti killed on Saturday.
Like when we reflected a few weeks ago on the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good, the videos are out there, and I don't recommend people watch it because it's brutal to watch, but I think everyone can make their own judgment. I think this is just even bigger in terms of the tensions because it's cumulative. It's not the first. I think it's impossible to watch the video and not be horrified. I'll put it that way. It's deeply, deeply uncomfortable. Now, clearly this is escalating already incredibly high tensions in the city of Minneapolis, in the state of Minnesota. Arguably, you say there's been less of an uprising than expected because of this incredibly cold weather that they have at the moment. So that's why there's not perhaps a new update overnight. This all unfolded on Saturday. Something to watch going forward. The other thing I'd say, just to move the story on, it takes it away from the most important factor, which is the tragedy, of course. But start to watch Republican lawmakers. We mentioned this a week or so ago around Greenland. If they start to lose faith, if enough happens on important issues, no more important than this, and they start to turn against the president, that is hugely, hugely significant. And you're starting to see little hints of that over the last week or two on a couple of these very high-profile stories.
So the story the government wants to talk about today, which isn't Andy-Burnham, is the shake-up of policing in England and Wales. They are outlining it later. It's nicknamed the kind of British FBI, and we got a bit of a taster on it, didn't we, on the kind of Sunday morning shows, including Trevor Phillips, a new National Police Service for England and Wales.
I did wonder as part of it whether there'll be a new power for the Home Secretary to be able to remove a police chief in a regional position if she so desires after her inability to remove the chief of West Midlands Police with the Maccabee story. I think it sounds quite sensible. I don't think it's going to get tons of coverage today, as you say. But it's also a sign of Shabana Mahmood trying to get on with stuff and, grasping her remit. And in an impossible situation yesterday, doing these interviews, as you said, like with Trevor Phillips, because she's also chair of the NEC, which was making the decision by lunchtime yesterday on whether Burnham could stand or not. I think she handled an impossible day of interviews quite well.
Yeah, I have to say as well, on the Andy Burnham point, the fact that she decided to abstain, which she can do as chair of the National Executive Committee, but, just made me think, that's a smart move if you did want to, run for the leadership.
Not my fault. Fancy that. There's now a vacancy.
So the UK is set to back a new fleet of offshore wind projects. This is in the North Sea, and we're doing it in conjunction with some other European nations as well, Wilf.
Yeah, and so there's going to be undersea cables to connect the other nations. One of the big problems of wind is obviously it only generates electricity when the wind blows. The offset to that, and there's huge advances happening here, is in battery technology. If you can store it, then you can use it when you need it. Our grid is a long way behind being capable of all of that. The alternative is, you connect to other places that might need it, even if you don't. So that's what's happening here. Ed Miliband is in Hamburg to sign a declaration with the other partners, saying that this will come into force by 2050. So it's a long way off, this big extra capacity. But essentially, the more offshore wind capacity we can have, the better. Great. Free when it blows in due course. It is not cheap, though. That's the problem at the moment. And nor, I think he's expect to say, it can get us off the fossil fuel roller coaster. Nor is that completely accurate when it is ultimately an energy that only generates energy when the wind blows. Still somewhat of a roller coaster. Okay, fun story to end on. Which city is the best for nightlife in the UK? This is from a new survey, clever little bit of spin from Uber, of which cities have the most taxi rides between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m.
I would guess Newcastle. And the reason I say that is because I remember this was when I was like a young journalist going out and doing an investigation in Newcastle, which involved being out and about in the evening. It felt like every single person in the whole of Newcastle was out. I've never seen anything like it. Party central.
Well, it's not Newcastle. By the way, shout out, I both my brothers went to university there, so I had 6 years of visiting.
Yeah.
I can attest
It's unbelievable.
to that person. So it's actually Edinburgh.
Oh, okay.
I wonder if they've adjusted this on a per capita basis, because if they haven't, then kudos to people of Edinburgh.
There you go. Got to
Everyone
get
must
out
be going
there.
out.
New team building night out.
Exactly. Glasgow comes second. London comes third. You know what? They've extended this to 4 a.m. Right? I'm I don't know what time your taxi quite comes, but we're distorting the numbers for London because we fall into that, but not on a night out. Do you know what's funny? I was going to say is January people are way better behaved than December, because what I loved in December is on the way in you'd still see people stumbling on the pavement on the way back from a massive night out. I haven't seen any of that in Jan.
No, everyone's on dry Jan.
Yeah, I quite like seeing it in December because you're just thinking, I hope you had a great night out. But gosh, you're going to feel terrible. It's the only thing that made you feel better going in at that early is you're like, at least I've got a clear head. They're going to have a terrible day at work.
Well, that's it for today's cheat sheet. Anything you want to get in touch with us about, let us know. cheatsheet@sky.uk. Maybe you've got an opinion on the best city in the UK for a night out.
Also, by the way, shout out to Dev Mahal, who got in touch because we've been covering that social media ban, potential social media ban for under 16s, with a really interesting additional point, saying that older generations are used to having long conversations and debates. Younger generations, because of social media, are very quick. Yes, no, emoji this, emoji that. I never understand what emojis are actually used for. A great additional point. Thanks so much for sharing it. And as Sophie says, please do get in touch. Cheatsheet@sky.uk.